Dear Shanghai fans, Shanghai trash, real Shanghai goods, and fake Laowais. Welcome back to Shanghai Comedy Corner Podcast. After a long summer hiatus full of heat, rain, travels, food, going away parties, and reunions, we're back. Shanghai Comedy Corner Podcast is here to let you know about Shanghai, its stage events, its fantastic artists, and anything funny coming your way. This week's episode is sponsored by China's Golden Week, when 1.3 billion people get 3 days off. 10 million train tickets sold last week, 480 million trips, and 644 million people on the roads. Well, my idea of hell is wanting to go to the bathroom when the millions of people waiting in the train station you're in all stand up and get to the correct platform. Welcome to the 21st podcast episode of Shanghai Comedy Corner, the only podcast that makes you feel at home in Shanghai and not want to go anywhere else during the break. I'm talking to you from the internationally famous 72 Collective Recording Studio out here in southern Shanghai District, offering a peaceful moment of crowd-free fun and bringing you people of note via Shanghai Comedy Corner. This week, bendable, flexible, and all-round lovable improviser, teacher, meditator, vegetarian, clown, mime, entertainer, Richard Bochniak, and I will bring you eccentric news and Shanghai stage news. It's random, it's fun, and it's as unexpected as me appearing in your field of vision right now as you're listening to me on the podcast. You can follow us and comment on Twitter at shcomedycorner, or go to our website, shanghaicomedycorner.com, send us a lovely email at shanghaicomedycorner@gmail.com, or find us on our official WeChat account at SHCC Podcast. In one word, that's SHCC Podcast. Hello, Miss... Well, I don't know how to call you because you have like 15 different names.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Julian,
Hey.
It's a good thing that you have one name.
Yes.
I know exactly what to call you. Hey, great to be here, Julian.
Great.
You can call me Punk. I find that quite endearing, Punk.
Punk is
Yeah.
really nice. It's original. But can you explain to our lovely audience where Punk comes from?
Yeah, well, Punk is a nickname that comes from my spiritual name. I have a spiritual name, yes.
Wow.
About over 30 years ago, I started a spiritual practice. I had a spiritual guru, my teacher, and he's from India.
Yeah?
So he gave me that name Pankaj, which in Hindi means lotus flower.
Nice.
Yeah, very deep, very meaningful for the Hinduism.
Okay.
Pan is like mud, and Kaj means to grow up from the mud. So it's the lotus flower.
It's you. It's
And
you.
yeah, it's me.
You grew up
Yeah,
from the mud.
I'm just grounded, but flowering. Yes, exactly. So Punk came as a nickname from Pankaj. My friends called
Yeah.
me Punky for a while, and then Punk sometimes. So kind of stuck because I'm in private life. I'm actually quite a shy guy, if you could believe that.
No. I don't believe it.
Yes,
but I can
and-
see it. I don't
Yeah,
believe it, but I can see it somehow. Sometimes you can be shy.
Yeah, I can be a bit introverted sometimes
Okay.
in private life. I mean, when I get on the stage, it's a different side of myself. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very
You're
outgoing,
like
but-
on stage, right?
So yeah, the point is, if you see this quiet guy and you call him Punk, it's a nice combination of kind of opposite feelings.
Yeah.
So
So for
quite like that.
those who don't know, I was telling you in introduction that Punk is an all-round, flexible, bendable, lovable entertainer. So what do you do in Shanghai?
Well, I've been in Shanghai for about 5 years now, and for the whole time I've been involved in different stage productions. I work with Shanghai Repertory Theater, did a couple of productions. Met this guy, Julian Bertrand.
Oh,
Bertrand
wow.
there.
Who's this guy?
And
Anyway.
I don't know. He became a really good friend. He's kind of sitting across from me right now. And yeah, as well as touring sometimes with my solo performance, which is a combination of mime and clowning and juggling and magic and slapstick physical comedy. So I tour usually during the summertime with that show.
Yeah.
And I do have a day job. I work with kids, and at the moment I work with a company called Early Birds.
Early
Shout
Birds.
out to Early Birds.
Yeah.
And we're a company that outsources programs, creative programs to schools. We have partner schools, and I'm developing their drama curriculum and facilitating that at the moment.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of these things going around at the time. They want to, schools want to upgrade, their curriculum and have more arts, entertainment.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's like a Western wave of ideas that are integrating into the Chinese education system, and I find it very cool that they want to do more art programs and do also kind of Western style drama too in the schools.
Yeah.
So.
I remember covering a lesson for our friend Dave Earl, who was here on the podcast a few episodes ago. And he sent me to that school downtown. It was really awesome. I taught drama for an hour to this lovely bunch of 13-year-old Chinese kids, but who could speak English better than anyone I had met.
Cool. You know what I find really funny, Julian, is like I'm sitting across from you on a podcast, and I keep putting my some of my phrases in quotation as if
in air
people can see that. I'm doing my air quotations. Yeah, I hope you can see that. Who's ever listening to this right now?
Yeah, I'm sure they can feel it.
They can feel it. My air quotes, yeah.
Yes, and obviously you're on stage every week. Almost.
Yeah, I'm part of SMAC.
SMAC.
Have you heard about SMAC?
I've never heard of SMAC, and we never mention it on the podcast.
The first rule of improvisation, to listen. It's good to listen to the name of the comedy group that you're one of the core members of, Julian.
That one.
That one. Yeah. And we have a performance every Thursday night. I see you there.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, it's quite cool. It's one of the first improv comedy groups in Shanghai, maybe even the original one.
Yeah, it's the longest running.
It's the longest running one, anyway.
So what can you tell us where you were born first, and a little bit about your childhood, just to give us some sort of background to your life?
Yeah, this life or
hey, let's start with this.
Let's talk about this life. It's simpler, no? Right? I was born in San Diego.
Woohoo!
San Diego, California.
Yeah.
It's known as America's finest city.
Is it?
And even though I'm from there and a bit biased, I would agree with that. It's got some of the most beautiful beaches in the world there, and very laid back lifestyle.
Okay.
And it's close. It's right on the border to Mexico. So we also have a big Latino influence that, mixes it up a bit, makes it a little bit more multicultural too. So
what do you miss most about San Diego right now?
I would say fresh corn tortillas.
Ooh, yeah.
I just saw my family recently, so I don't quite miss them yet.
Okay. But, soon.
Yeah. But, you can walk into a Mexican restaurant in Old Town in San Diego, and they're actually cooking the tortillas in a open pit oven in the front of the restaurant. So you're like smelling them as you come in, and yeah, it's amazing. I love fresh corn tortillas.
So you were born in San Diego, and you were raised in San Diego too?
Yeah, I grew up in San Diego. I guess I flew the coop, so to speak, when I was like maybe 20, 21.
Okay.
Then I started traveling around the world. I traveled to India a lot on a spiritual journey. And then I moved over to Europe and started doing street shows in Europe. I started performing my art on the street all over Europe.
Where? So. Just all over Europe?
Yeah, I started in Italy. I started in Florence. That was the first place. And I toured around Italy with my show, and then moved up to Germany. And Germans were a different crowd than the Italians.
Oh, no,
as you can imagine.
That.
Yeah.
How different were they?
Well, in Italy, I could just improvise the whole show and make it up in the moment. When I got to Germany, they wanted like a beginning, a middle, and end to the
structure,
show. So
a time, structure.
So I had to
path.
Conform to more of a rule-orientated show.
No stereotypes in Shanghai Comedy Corner Podcast.
Yeah. But, both great audiences. They just like it in a different style. Yeah. So I toured around Europe for nearly 10 years, performing my show on the street, making my money in my hat, bottling the crowd, so to speak, as they say in England.
Yeah.
And I used to travel during the winter time to India, where it was warm, and I didn't have to deal with the winter, and I couldn't play during the winter time. So I spent, my prime seasons in Europe performing my show, and then during the winter time I would go to India.
And how long did this European thing last until the next chapter?
It lasted about 10 years. And then
Wow.
I set up in Munich, which I felt was a Central European spot.
Yeah.
And I could travel out from there. And then I started working with agents, and they would book me for festivals around, like street festivals and New Year's events and things like that. So I got gigs through agents that I would travel to. And then I also started teaching the art form more at that time too, and leading like drama therapy workshops where
Nice.
I would use the art form, but more as a growth process.
Mm.
And I used to do trainings with a good friend of mine, Prasadam.
Prasadam.
Prasadam, wherever you are, I haven't seen you in years. I hope you're doing fine, my lovely friend.
Hi, Prasadam.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this
Yeah,
podcast,
I miss you, my buddy.
we salute you.
Yes.
And thank you for being Punk's buddy.
Yeah, so I would also travel out with the workshops. So we were set up in England, and actually that's how I came over to Asia, to China. Like we used to travel to Taiwan to do the trainings and the workshops there. So I started networking there, and then I moved over there at some point and spent a year in Taiwan, and then decided to move to the mainland from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And here
Fast
we are.
forward a few years,
Yep.
and here's Punk in Shanghai, the last 5 years. And
Yeah, Shanghai hiding out and
Shanghai
Asia,
out.
yeah.
So, how do you like Shanghai so far?
I love Shanghai. It's multicultural, a lot of opportunity here. I think the culture gap is less here than,
Yeah.
for example, if you lived in Beijing or another, first tier Chinese city. So, yeah, I think Shanghai,
Shanghai, ne?
it suits me quite well, actually.
Yeah. And not only have you done improv and mime and clown and shows, but I've seen you tell stories. Yes.
Yes, I have ventured into the storytelling
Of
realm.
Terry Relling.
Excuse my dyslexia.
So I've seen you
Storytelling,
at
yes.
the Mamagusha event.
Yeah, I've spontaneously told a story.
Yeah.
One night, yeah, and I love telling stories too. If I had more time to do that, I would be more involved in that. But between work and my show and Smack and other projects,
Yeah, you're
it's quite a
busy life.
busy schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're listening and if you're interested in storytelling events, attending, enjoying people telling stories of different life stories, true stories of different kinds, you can go to Mamagusha, and that's MAMAGUSHI. You can Google it, Mamagusha Storytelling Events in Shanghai. But if you follow Zmak on WeChat, Zmak will always advertise and promote the Mamagusha Storytelling Events. And you should really look into it because there's a lot of workshops around storytelling. And we just had a couple of Chicago improvisers and storytellers over in Shanghai. They delivered 2 great workshops over the weekend. So there's lots of things happening.
Yeah, and I bet if they went to www.smack.net,
There we'll find
they
all
could
the
find
info.
all kinds of
Yes.
amazing, entertaining events around town, including Smack workshops,
Yes.
which are coming up soon,
Yeah, there's my classes and stuff.
and our shows,
Yeah.
weekly shows, and our once a month, sort of monthly, sometimes bi-monthly weekend shows.
Yeah. You can find all the information on the website, shanghaicomedycorner.com, and all the other links to all the other improv troupes or all the theater troupes. Everything is there.
Do you have a link to richcomedian.com?
You will soon find a link for self-plugging Rich Comedian. Yes, we have a website, beautiful website, very
Yes.
simple, very nice, where we can see you in action, actually.
Yeah.
There's a very nice video of you.
Really get a flavor of what I do in my solo show there.
Exactly. And if you
And
haven't
if
seen...
I'm not going to plug me, who else am I going to plug? I mean,
if you haven't seen Punk on stage yet, come to the shows every Thursday and at about 3:90, and also check out the video to see what he's able to do with nothing, basically, just pure air. So this is a bit
that's
of
a kind of contradictory of terms here in Shanghai, pure air. isn't
yeah,
it?
pure air. Yeah. Well, well, this is this tradition on the show to ask people and guests what is one of their favorite Shanghai moments or China moments.
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask you the question too. What is one of your most memorable or moving or funniest Shanghai moments that you can think of today?
I would say this is an endearing moment that I'm remembering. Because, China is a very busy place.
Yeah.
You're easily in the crowd a lot. So it can be hustle and bustle and a lot of, crowd noise. And yeah, it can be a very busy, congested place. So sometimes you kind of lose your trust in humanity because it can be a little bit dog-eat-dog sometimes. That's the nature of it.
Yeah.
So, but there was one evening where I was coming out of the metro station, and then there's one guy I always take on a motorbike taxi guy, and it's just, I don't know, I just kind of bonded with that guy. So each time I come out, I look for him. If I see him, I take him home, right? And we have this kind of motorbike taxi friendship, right? So one day I came out and I didn't see him. He wasn't there, which was unusual. So I started to walk to the bus stop. And as I was getting to the bus stop, I noticed that I had lost my hip bag.
Oh. With
all my money, my cell phone, everything. It was gone.
Oh, no.
And I had one that kind of clipped onto the belt, so it might have just fallen off. It might have dropped somewhere when I was on the metro. I didn't see. So I was stranded there. I didn't have anything. And then suddenly this guy pulls up out of nowhere and sees that I'm, a bit disturbed and that I'm looking a little bit lost. And he doesn't speak any English, but we communicate through body language, and I tell him that I've lost my valuables, right? So he offers to put me on the bike, take me all the way back to the metro station and look for it on the way. We don't find it. And then he takes me home and does it just for nothing because I'm in need of it.
Wow.
And that was it.
Amazing. Yeah. That's a great
I thought
story.
that was very cool,
That's a very cool story.
Yeah, it was a very cool story.
Yeah. It happens,
This guy took care of me. He knew I needed him too, and he did. That was very cool.
That's cool. Before we carry on with the interview, I'd like to mention the different things in Shanghai that you can enjoy as far as comedy and stage theater is concerned. So, first of all, I'd like to announce officially on the podcast the first ever Shanghai Improv Festival.
Woo-woo!
Yeah.
Hoo-ah.
Thanks to the combined efforts of PRC, People's Republic of Comedy, and SMAC, we're able to bring you the finest improvisers from all over Asia. Different teams have signed up already, and it's going to be at Bar 390 and at Kung Fu Comedy Club, which is at Masse Bar. From October.
It's not a massive bar, but it's at Masse Bar.
Masse Bar, yeah. From October 23rd, which is a Thursday, if I'm not wrong, to October 26th. So there'll be plenty of shows to enjoy from different people. We mix them up also. There's a big improv jam coming up too. So there's tons of fun. And I can now offer you, if you've been listening correctly to this podcast, 2 tickets to one of the evenings.
Ooh.
If you answer this question and send me a lovely love letter with the answer to my question to shanghaicomedycorner@gmail.com. So if you've listened correctly, I'm sure it'll be very easy for you to tell me in which city was Rich or Punk born.
Yeah.
In which city was Punk born? I'll give you a clue. Let's say it's very... What clue could we give?
We could say it's known as America's finest city.
It's known as America's finest city. Yeah. Exactly. So if you know what the answer is, send your contact details, name and telephone number and everything to shanghaicomedycorner@gmail.com, or if you're following us on WeChat as SHCC Podcast in one word, you can send us also the answer there, and we'll deliver 2 golden tickets.
You know what I find especially cool, Julian, and how you take care of your guests? my breath screen is much bigger than yours. I feel just like, wow,
Well,
the king of the setting here. Like,
yeah.
merely a pauper.
Also would send
according
you a
to the breath
message about
screen.
the quality of your breath. So that's one. That's the Shanghai Improv Festival coming up at the end of October. I repeat the dates, 23rd to 26th at 2 different locations. You'll find all the details on the smack.net website.
Can't wait. It's gonna be
Please
cool.
follow the Shanghai Tickler, who's been consistently promoting us, and our friend. And they organize open mic stand-up comedy evenings at Bar 390. I also highly recommend you go to Kung Fu Comedy Club at Massey, where you can see PRC improvise also every week. And
Yep.
follow, obviously, Smack and my own little podcast.
That's on Thursday nights, right? With
Yeah,
the
it's on Thursday nights,
PRC.
and they're great. They're amazing
Yeah.
people. And we went there recently, and it was just a great evening in that little club. I love this little club. It's very...
It's intimate.
It's a very intimate place. It's very a good setup. Let's go back to the interview. Finish this interview. And
Oh, do we have to?
No, no. It's. I'd like to know something. What is your next chapter?
My next
What
chapter.
is your next chapter? What is your long-term plan? And then I'll ask you about something else. But first of all, I'd like
Yeah.
to know what's in it. What's in the bag for you? You know, what's coming up? So first of all, where can we see you apart from Ozmac? If there's any big project you're in.
Well, I'm working on a new project of creating a children's theater show.
Wow.
And there's this amazing high-tech children's theater in Shanghai that I just discovered recently that I have a connection with through my company.
Okay.
And it's state of the art. The stage is amazing, and they want to work closely with us, and they kind of asked me to produce a show. So I'm creating something, and then I'm going to offer it to them, and hopefully we can collaborate there. So if you go to my website, then you'll be
or
this website.
Yes. We'll
you'll be able to
put the
find out about
information-
that. I don't have dates yet, but that's coming up in the future. That's
That's
a big
cool.
thing. Yeah.
Also, there's something in the works as I've heard of a musical coming up sometime in November. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I've heard, more or less confirmed rumors that there will be a great musical coming up in November. So watch out for that space on my website.
But keep it a secret for now.
Keep it a secret for now. I just say something. If you have toothaches and have bad experiences at the dentist, maybe you shouldn't go see the show. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Maybe it'll lighten up your experience with
Or
the
maybe it
dentist.
will.
Yeah.
It will. Yes. So I'd like to ask you something a little bit personal also.
Well, you're the man. Go ahead.
What is, for you, one of the best or worst moments in your life?
One of the best
Best
or
or
worst
worst,
moments in my
yes.
life?
Or maybe there's a moment that's both.
Yeah. I would say something that happened recently, actually,
Okay.
because I made my trip to San Diego to visit my family, which I do every year. Important to me, my family. And while I was there visiting my family, my mother passed away.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Wow.
So I had 10 days with her, which I was really grateful for. So
That's big.
I could say goodbye to her. And, it's bittersweet, like I'm grateful that I was there when it happened. And, I'm also sad to lose my mom. So
Oh, thanks for sharing
it's
this.
kind of the worst and best moment recently, strong moment.
strong moments.
If anybody of you out there have lost a parent, it's strong.
It's strong.
It's strong.
And anyone who's known Punk for a while knows about your mom, because it keeps coming up in the conversation, and she's had a strong influence on you.
Yeah.
And as a life philosophy.
Yeah, sure.
My
My mom always said to me, if it makes you happy, do it. So I just felt total acceptance from her, support in whatever I did. And becoming an artist is not always appreciated by the family or supported by the family. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's
hard
like,
sometimes.
it's hard. Yeah. And she just always supported me. That's why I'm here and why I'm doing this. You know, that's why I'm in this business, because of a lot of
thank you,
support from my
Punk's
mom.
mum. What's her name?
Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're listening to us from where you are.
Yeah.
And
Her spirit is here. She's a beautiful spirit, my mom.
yes, I could see the pictures. You sent us a picture. Oh, I saw a picture.
Yeah.
And she's a beautiful woman. You can see kindness.
Yeah, a lot of
Emanating
light in my
from-
mom.
yes,
a lot of light in my
A
mom.
lot of light.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rich. Punkage.
Yeah.
Punky.
I don't mean to end it on a sad note.
No,
I
but
just
it's actually
wanted to share
It's a
that.
great story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. I'm so excited to see your project, coming up, being born
Yeah.
and being carried out and
Yeah, well,
implemented.
I hope you're going to be part of it. Then,
I
my
may be
friend.
part of
Yeah.
it. So watch that space on my website, ShanghaiComedyCorner.com, and you'll have all the links to Punk's website and all the great things that are happening in Shanghai at the moment. And thanks for listening to the podcast. If you please invite people over to listen to the podcast, send them the links on WeChat and iTunes. You can find the podcast basically everywhere on the net. And there'll be more and more rewards as you listen to the podcast episodes. Like today, I'm offering 2 tickets to the show, to the improv festival shows, and there'll be more of this later. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Punk.
为什么不